Hello, friends. It's Chapo.
In that unfashionable seaside town, Corbyn learned of Lenin's advice to his British followers. Support the Labour Party as the rope supports the hanged man. His ambition was to infiltrate Labour, get elected as an MP, take power, and destroy capitalism.
I wish a motherfucker would.
Recall Jane Chapman, his first wife. Jeremy was a Trotskyist, no doubt about it. Okay, finally a negative thing.
Okay, now we got a problem.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
Corbyn's battlefield in the 1970s was Haringey. Yeah.
Wait a minute, what is it?
No. Just do that.
Yeah,
Just
we're
do
not
that.
learning.
Wait a minute, what?
No,
I don't know what that is.
we're not going to learn, and you can't make us.
No, I want to know. What the fuck does that mean?
Oh, that's just an area in North London.
Okay.
Where he upset residents by encouraging squatters and allowing gypsies to live in local parks. Are you guys seriously still saying that?
I said, that's a not nice word where I'm from.
For most Britons, it was a wretched decade, but for Corbyn, it was a magnificent roller coaster. Endless strikes, harsh devaluation, and crippling interest rates almost tipped capitalism into an existential crisis. Employed by the National Union of Public Employees, he repeatedly organized strikes of council workers against local authorities.
How dare he?
Yeah.
Simultaneously, as leader of Haringey's left-wing councillors, he agitated for industrial democracy.
I still have no idea what the hell it is.
Industrial democracy, mass nationalization, and the confiscation of private wealth.
Yeah.
As the leader of his local Labour Party in Hornsey, he orchestrated the purge of Social Democrats to turn his constituency into a communist outpost.
Oh no. Oh no, this is terrible. I'm so outraged. I'm so mad right now. I'm so pissed. I'm really angry. I'm very annoyed at all of this stuff. It doesn't sound cool at all.
The risk desperate Remainers must consider is whether they can trust Corbyn not to repeat the 1981 takeover. And the SNP and Lib Dems believe that if, after an indecisive election, he emerges as the leader of a minority government with the promise to stage a referendum in 3 months, he will honor his pledge? Or will Corbyn endlessly delay while the Marxists consolidated their rule?
Sounds cool. I'm enjoying all of this so far. Bring it home.
Over the past few months, Corbyn and MacDonald have conjured an image of benign visionaries, the grandfather and the bank manager, to diffuse fears of a Labour government. The reality is that even if they fail on December 12th, Corbyn and his successors will resume their struggle the next day in the conviction that eventually the red flag will flutter over Downing Street. And once inside, no power will ever remove them.
Oh no. Oh no. I sure hope that doesn't happen. And it would also be terrible if then the red government of Westminster was to, I don't know, launch a drone strike on Washington, D.C. That would be horrible, and I would not support it at all. Except in every way that I would think it was awesome.
Matt, we have to go home.
Parody in the game. In the game, parody.
So,
parody.
as you can see, not all the coverage of Jez in the Times is negative.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No. If you don't need a towel at the end of that article, I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, it's going to be fun backstage, isn't it?
We have 3 days left. The left all over the world are looking to you, including us. Don't fuck this up because this is our favorite sport. Give it everything you've got. Just one final push. Just do it.
Just imagine, like a year from now.
And honestly, I'm not saying this to be triumphalist because we're all Debbie Downers, but you could really do it. And
honestly,
if you do
could.
it, then our hellhole country could maybe do it.
Yeah.
So
Like, just
give us a real
push
shot in the arm. So just as a personal favor, could you not let your country descend into hell?
Yeah. Like 16 months from now, just imagine fucking Jeremy Corbyn and Bernie Sanders like appointing the next heads of like the IMF and the World Bank. Like, imagine what that. Oh.
Imagine, if you will.
I do believe I have the vapors.
Imagine, if you will, Jeremy Corbyn and Bernie Sanders
Just fucking
meet as the
sucking.
leaders.
I imagine it all the time. And it's beautiful.
Just fucking, just looking longingly in each other's eyes and sharing a passionate kiss at the G7. You can imagine things like this and many others at fanfiction.net/user/Virgil Texas. We will take a 20-minute break.
Yeah.
For you to go to the lav.
Pop to the loo.
Yeah, take the piss. Take all the
but
piss.
you say take the
Have
piss.
the piss,
Take all the
please.
piss.
Have it. And
As the Guardian would say, piss is free.
then we will be back with a very, very special guest whom you're all going to love. So, see you then.
Bye-bye.
All right, everybody, put your hands together so they know to come out. It's the second act of Chapo Trap House.
I meant to do that. I did that on purpose. It was a bit. That was irony. That was 100% irony. I'd say, wouldn't it be funny if I looked like a stumbling dipshit?
And it was.
It was entirely intentional. And thank you, yes. Alpha Mindset, take a fucking page out of my book.
Okay, oh my, what's this extra chair and microphone that just materialized? I think we should fill it. What do you think, gang? No, sorry, no, it's not Jez Bud. Instead, you get, ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm London welcome for star of Screen and Tweet, Rob Delaney. Hi, Rob. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Great to see you guys. And all of you here. Bush Hall.
Rob was recently in a viral video made in support of the Labor campaign. That was a deeply moving, emotional video that should have shocked all of you fuckers into giving Jez 60% in the fucking polls in any normal civilization.
So, about the NHS. Do you guys mind a little story time? Okay. So I have very bad hearing. My hearing in my left ear is very bad. My hearing in my right ear is very bad. And
How bad is it?
I will take you out back. It's normally not a problem except when there's like a lot of like background noise. So like a pub or a busy street, the two places where I live, or if I am, for example, on stage and a bunch of people are laughing at my hilarious jokes and applauding my greatness. To be fair, I can usually hear Matt. I will say. But, Virgil has the dulcet tones of a little songbird.
Oh, thank you.
So I decided before this tour, I said, this is the tour that I'm going to be able to hear the show I'm doing. So I went to go get a hearing test, and they're like, oh, you're very deaf.
So this whole time you've gone without that thing that you absolutely need to do these shows.
I don't really need to listen to you to do the show. I've very bad hearing because I was in punk bands because I'm much cooler than all of you. So I went for a hearing test, which cost $200, and they're like, you're very deaf.
That's upwards of 25 pounds? or 2,500 I don't know.
We don't know
I think
any of the
that's-
exchange rates.
That's 17,300 euro.
Yeah.
I don't know how many shillings it is.
Yeah, it's tuppence to...
Tuppence.
I don't know.
Hay pennies? How many
Tuppence to
hay pennies?
Benzie.
So I got the hearing test. She's like, you're very deaf. It would probably be good if you got 2 hearing aids because your ears work together, which is inspiring and should inspire us all. She's like, but you could probably get away with 1 because you're really mostly deaf in just 1 ear. And I'm like, well, it's a work expense. My work is going to pay for it. I'll just fucking get both of them. How much do you think 2 hearing aids cost? By the way, Chapo has good insurance, which means it's shit. How much do you think that cost? $7,600.
You were closest without going under.
So,
What do you fuckers say, 10 pounds? What?
So I said, I'll take the 1, please. I'll take the 1 hearing aid. However, in addition to how much it costs, you have to go through billing, which is a process that often takes more time than the actual medical care that you receive in America. So I get there and I try pay. Oh, by the way, I went to get fitted for a hearing aid when I was very hungover. I wore a big Patagonia jacket, which is what I call my subway pervert jacket. Doc Martens, last night's hair and makeup, reeked of smoke. I didn't look homeless because homeless people can look all manner of ways. I looked the way a really bad casting director would tell you to dress if you wanted to look homeless for a bad movie. Very hungover. And I said, okay, I would like to pay for my 1 hearing aid because I would have to get this, dispensed or whatever. And they rejected my card because they were like, this is over your daily spending limit. Okay, that's probably a good idea.
Well, that can't be right, though, because a doctor prescribed it. It wouldn't, sensibly, it would override that.
One would think
in a healthy democracy.
A medical device, and the bank was like, no, you couldn't possibly want to spend this much money. And I'm like, no, but I'm deaf, motherfucker. I do need to spend the money. And I tried to call the bank, and they were like, no. And so, in my hangover ensemble, I had a very smart idea. And I leaned over to the receptionist at the audiology clinic, and I said, okay, so could I have my assistant come in and bring a check and pay for it, looking the way I did? I don't have my voicemail set up. I certainly don't have an assistant. And I sold it, though. And she was like, oh, yeah, sure. But then this narc peeped around the corner and was like, oh, yeah, we can keep it behind the counter. And then your assistant come in, leave the check, and then he can pick up. I like that he did assume my assistant was a he. That's very feminist of him. He can pick up the hearing aid. And I was like, fuck, I was so close. And I had to fly out the next day. So I was like, okay, sure, I'll just tell my assistant to do that. And then the phone rang, and the receptionist turned around. So I picked up the bag with the hearing aid, and I confidently walked out the door. Of all the crimes I have committed, stealing a hearing aid is the least cool or sexy crime I have ever committed.
You also, I gotta say, you're probably not gonna get in trouble because you hear about all the billing nightmares and stuff in America.
They probably forget.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, oh, but I'd have to pick up the phone to call a person. Fuck it.
Right.
So, genuinely.
I did mail them a check, but technically I stole a hearing aid, like a really nerdy cat burglar. And afterwards, though, I was terrified. So, by the way, on the way out, I passed. It's an audiology clinic, so it's full of a lot of elderly people. It's in Bay Ridge, so it's like a very Polish area. And there was this very old. There was this very old Polish woman who didn't speak any English and needed a translator. And I swear to God, as I just confidently walked out, hoping no one noticed me, she just goes,
Yeah.
But I was terrified, and so I went to an alley, called a cab, was hiding behind a dumpster, looking like a cartoon version of a homeless person, and I texted my friend Willie Howard, who is the union man, the good labor man who hooked us up with the canvassing, and I was like, Willie, Meanwhile, in America, I just stole a hearing aid. And without skipping a beat, he said, top form, serves him right, the deaf cunt. So not only was his immediate assumption that I had robbed a hearing impaired man of his medical device, he immediately gave full-throated, unqualified support for the theft. And then I had to explain to him, no, Willie, I'm the deaf cunt. What I'm getting at here is you have got to protect your NHS, otherwise you're going to be a deaf cunt stealing hearing aids.
To reiterate, we have health care. We pay for our own health insurance.
We have pretty good insurance, which doesn't cover hearing aids.
Which doesn't cover a hell of a lot of things. And where we have a concept of a deductible where you have to spend out of pocket a certain amount of money before the healthcare that you spend a lot of money for each month kicks in and before they start to cover things. I sound like a crazy person. I know that now. It is so hard to explain these concepts where I barely understand them. And if I barely understand them, what chance does everyone else have? So this is your future. The Tories win.
I know the NHS has a lot of problems, but I feel like Europeans and British people especially do this false modesty thing where they're like, oh, you don't understand, like there's a lot of problems with the NHS and the grass is always greener. No, the grass is clearly fucking greener over here. And you can lay some new sod if you really just go out there and go for it this next election season.